Hi everyone. In today's session, let us discuss about the rules for naming organic compounds and let us also try and solve a few problems related to the same. In our previous sessions, we have clearly discussed about the root words, the suffixes that has to be added based on the type of different functional groups. You can have a glance of the previous sessions for better and clear understanding of today's session. Now let us learn the rules one by one. The first one is choose the correct ending. First and foremost, we need to look at the hydrocarbon chain that is given to us and try to find out whether the compound is an alkane, alkene or alkyne. If there are only single bonds in the hydrocarbon chain, then the correct ending will be ANE. If there are any double bonds present between carbon atom, then the correct ending will be ENE. If there are any triple bonds between the carbon atoms, then the correct ending will be YNE. The second rule is to determine the longest carbon chain. Where a double bond or triple bond is present, choose the longest chain that includes this bond. If there is a cyclic structure present, the longest chain starts and stops within the cyclic structure. That is, when a hydrocarbon chain is given to you, you have to number the carbon atoms present in the chain. So you start numbering from one end to the other end of the chain and make sure that if your hydrocarbon chain contains any carbon atoms with double bond or triple bond, we have to make sure that those carbon atoms are also included in the numbering. The third rule is to assign numbers to each carbon of the parent chain. For alkenes and alkynes, the first carbon of the multiple bond should have the smallest number. For alkanes, the first branch should have the lowest assigned number. Carbons in a multiple bond must be numbered consecutively. It is very simple. When you are numbering the carbon atoms in your hydrocarbon chain, always make sure that if it is in the case of alkene or alkyne, since there are double or triple bond in the chain, make sure that the carbon that is attached to the double bond or triple bond gets the lowest number. Similarly, in the case of alkanes, if there is any branching that is seen in the hydrocarbon chain, make sure that the carbon gets the lowest number. That is, the branch gets the lowest number. The fourth rule is to attach a prefix that corresponds to the number of carbon in the parent chain. Add cyclo to the prefix if it is a cyclic structure. So if the hydrocarbon given to you is having a cyclic structure, make sure you add the prefix cyclo to it. And based on the number of carbon atoms present in the hydrocarbon chain, make sure you give the right root words. The next rule is to determine the correct name for each branch. Alkyl groups include methyl, ethyl, propyl, etc. That is, if you find branching in the hydrocarbon chain, then you have to count the number of carbon atoms present in the branch. And then based on the number of carbon atoms present in your branch, you have to add the names such as methyl, ethyl, propyl, etc. The next rule is to attach the name of the branches alphabetically along with their carbon position to the front of the parent chain name. Separate numbers from letters with hyphens. In case you have more than one branch in your hydrocarbon chain, then you have to write the names of the branches in the alphabetical order. We should also mention the carbon position along with the chain name, and you have to separate the letters from the numbers using small hyphens. The next rule is when two or more branches are identical, in the sense when two or more branches are same, then we have to use the prefix di, tri, tetra. That is completely based on how many times the same branch is being repeated. The next rule is when identical groups are on the same carbon, repeat the number of this carbon in the name. You will better understand all these rules when we look into the examples. The next important part is the nomenclature of organic compounds that contain functional group. If you find that there are functional groups present in your hydrocarbon chain, then while you're numbering carbon atoms, make sure you give priority to the functional groups also. That is, if you find a COOH group, that is a carboxylic acid group, as functional group in your hydrocarbon chain, make sure you give first position to the carboxylic acid group. Then the second highest priority is given to SO3H. The third highest priority is given to COOR group, and similarly the others. Make sure you learn the priority order of the functional groups. This plays a very important role while numbering the carbon atoms in the hydrocarbon chain. And always make sure that the carbon that is attached to the functional group should be assigned the lowest number. Examples will be discussed in the next session.